Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Nania Yasmin, and for this week's video I wanted to just give a quick update on what's been going on in Taiwan. Some of you may or may not be aware of what's been going on in terms of the virus and the pandemic, so I just wanted to kind of briefly summarize exactly that, what's been going on, and I guess let you guys know how that may affect those of you that were looking to move here or interested in moving here, you know, within the next few months. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and jump right in. So in terms of Taiwan, they had done really well with the pandemic. So going back from about January of 2020 up until April or May of this year, we had experienced about 10 to 11,000 cases altogether. So that was in the span of about a year and a half. So compared to the rest of the world, the numbers were really low, and we were able to, you know, continue with our daily life pretty close to normal. There were a few things that were implemented, but other than that, we never had like a major shutdown. Businesses never had to close, you know, schools never had to close, and our day-to-day lives weren't extremely affected by the pandemic. Unfortunately, that did change a couple months ago. In May, we saw a huge spike in the number of cases, and so that resulted in the country basically shutting down. And so that is what I wanted to kind of just update you guys on with this video. So going back to those 10 to 11,000 number of cases we had over the span of a year and a half, from April to May of this year, within 30 days, we saw those numbers double. So the government wasted no time with shutting the country down. The cases started emerging in Taipei, but I'm assuming just to prevent a huge outbreak, they shut the entire country down. So we are currently at a level 3 lockdown. They have separated it between 4 different levels. Level 4 is being the most extreme number of cases, and we are currently at level 3. The schools did close down. Shopping malls and things like that are still open, but restaurants did also, they closed their dine-in areas. You could only order the food for pickup and takeout. So the temples are closed, you can't visit those. Even I believe like the beaches and waterfalls and places like that are closed down as well. Yeah, you could go outside of your house, but there wasn't much to do. Most things were closed down, or they had limitations amongst them. Also for like gatherings, if you wanted to have people inside of your apartment or your house, you could only have up to 5 people or you would get fined. And for outside gatherings, I think it was a max number of 10 or 11 people. So that's pretty much what we've been dealing with since May of this year. Of course, if you do go out and about, like to the grocery stores or to 7-Eleven or again to the mall, they are still going to check your temperature upon entrance, but they've also implemented a new regulation, which is filling out personal information before you can enter the building. So this can either be done manually. They have like printout sheets where you can fill your information in that way, or they have QR codes where you can scan your phone and fill the information out electronically. And they are basically asking for your full name, the time that you are visiting establishment, what time you're entering the building, as well as your phone number. And I'm assuming they've set this in place to track where people are going, so that if they do have an outbreak, they can kind of see exactly where that person traveled, so they can kind of see the number of people that person may have come in contact with. So those are what level 3 has included. Also, they have closed the borders down, so I believe you need to already be a resident or of course a citizen of Taiwan in order to enter the country. The regulations in terms of quarantine are a lot more strict than they were before. So once you do enter the country, you cannot do at-home quarantine anymore, which you could do before. It's mandatory that you go to a quarantine hotel, which you have to pay out of pocket for. That is 14 days of isolation. If you come with your family, you cannot stay with them. You must isolate or self-quarantine by yourself in these hotels. So it could be very costly for families or couples. And then once you do the mandatory 14 days, you have 7 days of self-quarantine, which means you can go out and about, but they don't advise you to go to like highly populated areas. You still must just be mindful of where you go. And so in total, that is 21 days of quarantine. And then after that, you still must take a COVID test, and it must be negative for you to be released into the country. They've been making updates throughout the lockdown, so things have changed on a daily basis, but this is, I guess, the latest update as far as I know. If the numbers are low for a certain amount of days, then we can go down to level 2, or if the numbers keep rising, we either stay at level 3 or they push it to level 4. So we've been on level 3 the entire time. They've been giving us updates in 2-week increments. So the next update for the country is actually on, I think, Monday, July 26th. So I'm not sure if we will go down to level 2 or we will stay on level 3. So yeah, how that may affect you all that are interested in moving here within the next few months, or maybe some of you already even had job offers but you are unable to get into the country. Again, things are changing daily, so there really are no guarantees at the moment. The best news I can give is that the numbers are going down, so it looks like things are turning around for the better sooner than later. Again, schools are closed. So for the public schools, it wasn't a big deal. They closed down back in May, where we had about 6 or 7 weeks left of the semester. So we did have to do the online learning. It was a huge, learning curve for the teachers and the students, but fortunately it didn't take a huge chunk out of the semester. So right now we're on summer vacation anyway, so that hasn't had a huge effect on the public schools. But cram schools and the privately owned institutions have been hit the hardest, just because they are privately owned. They are their own entities, and these are essentially businesses. If you are unfamiliar with what a cram school is, it's a learning center where the parents pay for their students to attend and get additional learning on their studies or additional practice for their studies. And so with the lockdown in place and people unable to really go out and about, those businesses did have to close down and the students were unable to come in. So without the students, you don't have the need for the parents to pay, and without the parents paying, then the school doesn't really have the money to pay their teachers. So in terms of the cram school, a lot of teachers were either let go completely or their salaries were cut in half. I know some of them were able to go online and teach the students, but again, that is solely up to the decision of that school specifically. There is no standard regulation that the cram schools have to follow, except for the fact that they had to close their doors and the students could not come in. For the public schools, we are on summer vacation until the very end of August. We usually go back like August 30th. So I definitely, just going based off of how the numbers are looking now, I think school will be able to start as normal in August, and we will be able to go back to in-person learning. So that should not be affected either. So I guess with that being said, in terms of people interested in moving here or finding a job here, the public schools are still hiring. I've been seeing their job postings on Facebook and LinkedIn. They are definitely looking for teachers. Cram schools, not so much, but I think very soon in the near future they will also be looking for teachers as well. So that is a good thing. If you know you want to be an English teacher here, definitely keep your eyes open for those job positions. I recommend you guys look on Facebook groups. You can search jobs in Taiwan or teach English in Taiwan, and I'm certain a number of different groups will pop up that you can join, and those groups have recruiters in them posting different job opportunities for you all. I went through a recruiting agency called Teach Taiwan. You guys can check them out on Facebook, or they have their own website. That is what I went through to get my job in the public schools. But in terms of when you can get into the country and when you will be able to start, I do not know exactly when that will be. I could assume that process could be a lot longer than it normally takes. So keep your eyes and ears open to when the borders will be opening, what are the current quarantine regulations. Also, this is a new update. As of this week, teachers are starting to get their vaccines. Again, if you are preparing to come, you can prepare to already be vaccinated when you come, or prepare yourself for them to possibly require you to be vaccinated in order to get started. Things right now are still changing daily, so I apologize for not being able to give definite information. So again, in terms of your timeline of when you want to move, as well as your budget for your moving expenses, I think it would be more than what I've previously mentioned in my other videos, and the duration of getting a job and being able to start, I think, is going to be a lot longer than it typically is. It could be, you know, a few months before you're able to come here and get started in the classrooms. So I think that wraps up this video. I hope that was helpful for you guys. Again, on the bright side, although we've had some tough weeks, on the bright side, the numbers have been decreasing, and it looks like things are on the up, and we should be opening up and proceeding as close to normal as possible. But yeah, if you do have any other questions or concerns, I will answer them to the best of my ability. And yeah, best of luck to everyone. Thank you for tuning in as always, and I will see you guys next time.